All right, joining us now to discuss is the former ambassador from the U.S. to the U.K., Woody Johnson. Ambassador Johnson, good to see you. Thanks for being here on this somber day.
Oh, I'm happy to be here and sad to be here, that's for sure.
So talk to me about your personal experience with the Queen. What do people need to know about her as a person?
Well, I think they have to know that she was very up to date on all things that were going on in government, with her family, world politics, the Commonwealth, which is a couple billion people or so. As you mentioned in that short video, the Prime Minister reported to her for an hour each week. And I know the Prime Minister's really relished that 1 hour that they got, as well as her military generals and commanders reported to her on an annual or semi-annual basis. And so they were always very well prepared for the Queen, because she asked very perceptive and good questions for them. So they had to be on their toes.
You know, Mr. Ambassador, there were 14 U.S. presidents during Her Majesty's reign. She met 13 of them, starting with Harry Truman. Thinking of all the world leaders that she met in her lifetime since she became queen at the age of 25, what impact did she have on the world?
I think it can't be overestimated or exaggerated. She had an enormous, enormous impact. And I can speak for one president that I know, Donald Trump, who met with her on at least on several occasions on his 2 visits, I think multiple occasions, lunches and dinners. And the state dinner particularly, he mentioned to me he had a 45-minute discussion with the Queen, and he was absolutely mesmerized. And I think if knowing Donald Trump for the last 40 years, you know, that takes a lot. And if you take a look at all of the experiences he had being president, I think the time he spent with the Queen, I think, would be right up there, if not number one.
You know, it's interesting. You mentioned her duties, meeting with the Prime Minister, meeting with her generals. For a lot of folks in the United States, they look at the head of government, the Prime Minister, as kind of running the government in the UK. Talk to us about what the role of the monarch is in modern day society there in Britain.
Well, one of the things that Queen Elizabeth II did was she did modernize the monarchy. And the monarchy is not directly involved in government, but there are still these relationships of reporting and, for instance, opening Parliament. Parliament is the people's house, and she every year opens Parliament in a ceremonial way. She has to knock on the door, and they let her in, and she delivers her message opening Parliament. But it's a traditional role and not a governmental role. It's hard.
You know, as the longest reign. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as the longest reigning monarch, there's many generations around the world, but definitely in the UK, who haven't known anything else. Now that it is King Charles, what can we expect from the next generation of the monarchy?
Well, I think she laid, more than 70 years. 70 years as queen, but many years before that, she started as a little girl in the leadership position, and the way she was schooled was much different than everybody else. And I think that she laid down 70 years of highway, of road, and how to do it. And I'm sure that King Charles now will follow the same road and modernize the monarchy and make sure that, it's relevant to the British people, which I'm sure it will be.
It's interesting that you bring that up. You know, there's been a lot of debate over the last couple decades about the future of the monarchy. Do you think that this is sustainable in terms of a monarchy, or do you think this is something that depends? I mean, the Queen, you point out really well that the Queen did a good job of modernizing it. And frankly, I think a lot of people fell back in love with the majesty of the monarchy in the past decade or so. Do you think that it's up to Charles to continue that?
Yeah, well, it's always hard to follow somebody like the Queen, somebody that has been in a position for so long. But having met Charles and seen him for many years, I think he's capable of doing that. I know he's capable, and it's going to take a little bit of time for the public to get used to the transition here. But I have no doubt that he'll be successful.
So many people have commented, including many presidents. We have President Obama, Clinton, Trump, all making comments on her. Of course, all of them meeting her. As I had mentioned, people talk about her personality, how she was witty, how she had charm. What legacy does she leave behind?
Well, I think she was the thing that she said when she was 14, that I'm going to give my life in service. I mean, if I said that at 14, it's hard to imagine that you could live up to a statement like that. So if you're going to look at a legacy, the fact that she actually did that all the way, as you said, when she welcomed the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, and said goodbye to Boris, the day before she died or so, that is something that you just never see. And I think the world leaders are so blessed they got to spend any time with her. And they, as she said, she's met millions of people in the world, and she has a photographic memory, but she maybe doesn't remember the names of the million. But everybody who spent any time with her cherishes that moment, and they remember it in detail, some of which they can't talk about, of course.
Think about that for a moment. You meet a bunch of people, you may not remember them all, but they will all remember meeting you. Tell me about, just real quickly, Ambassador, before we let you go, what was that moment like for you, the first time you met her?
Well, the first time I met her, I had to give my papers, accreditation papers. And it's like a little bit like going to dance class. You have to learn the steps, and it's at Buckingham Palace. And I was there. I had, gotten ready for this, and I had brought some people from the embassy, and I brought my wife Suzanne with me. And then the door knocked. We heard the knock, and the door immediately opened. And immediately you blank. But then I looked at her eyes, and she had that incredible ability to relax everybody around her, including me. So I woke up. And then I talked to her for 15 minutes or so, introduced her to everybody. And, as I said, I'm one of the ones who remember everything. And she probably does too in some ways, because she does have that great memory. But the interesting part is I'm her 19th, I think, ambassador to the Court of St. James. And she still had that sparkle in her eyes and the enthusiasm after having done it for so many of us diplomats, that I don't know anybody that can do that. She's so special.
Well, Ambassador Woody Johnson, thank you for sharing that moment with us and our viewers. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.